Investigators of the impossible. Get ready, because today we're diving into a case that has haunted America for over 2 decades. A story of a disappearance that defies all logic, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and a family in agony. We're going to talk about Maura Murray, a promising young woman whose life vanished into thin air on a cold February night. Investigators of the impossible, ready to open another dead case? Let me tell you about Maura, so you can truly understand the complexity and depth of this mystery that still puzzles us today. Maura Murray wasn't an ordinary person. Born in 1982, she was a talented athlete, a bright nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and a girl full of life, with a contagious smile and a passion for running. Seemingly, she had it all. Her parents, Fred and Laurie Murray, raised her in a loving family, and she had siblings she was very close to. Maura was the middle child, known for her intelligence, her competitive nature, and a certain stubborn streak. She was the type of person who made plans, who had a future ahead of her. But behind this facade of perfection, there were tensions, secrets, and a growing pressure that no one, not even her closest family, seemed to fully understand. Weeks before her disappearance, Maura was going through a tough time. She had been involved in a minor incident with a credit card, being accused of fraud after using a stolen card. Nothing major, but enough to cause stress. Furthermore, she had crashed her father's car on a slippery road a few days prior, causing considerable damage. To top it off, she was dealing with issues in her relationship, and there were rumors that she was unhappy at the university, or at least exhausted. The life that seemed so perfect was in some ways starting to crumble. She was feeling overwhelmed, and something was about to give. It was February 4th, 2004, a cold, gray Wednesday in Amherst, Massachusetts. Maura Murray was at work in university security. Around 3:30 p.m., she sent an email to her supervisor and professors, informing them that she would need a week off due to a death in the family, claiming she was going home. But investigators of the impossible, this was a lie. There was no death in the family. No one knew what she was planning. She emptied her bank account, withdrawing a few $100s. She went to a liquor store and bought a significant amount of alcohol, liqueur, Kahlua, vodka. Later, she was seen at an ATM, and then, driving her car, a black Saturn sedan she had borrowed from her father. She packed some of her belongings, including clothes, college textbooks, and oddly, some stuffed animals. She left her dorm room door unlocked, and a note on her bed read, "I love you. Call me." To whom? No one knows. Was she running away? If so, where to? Her route was clear, but her destination, a mystery. She was last seen driving north on Route 112, a winding, deserted road that cuts through the White Mountain National Forest in New Hampshire. And then, the unthinkable happened. Around 7:27 p.m., a local resident, a bus driver named Butch Atwood, was driving along Route 112 in Woodsville, New Hampshire. The night was cold, dark, and snow covered the sides of the road. He spotted a crashed car, Maura's black Saturn, wedged in a ditch, with the airbag deployed and visibly damaged. The driver seemed to be fine, standing outside the vehicle. Atwood stopped to offer help. He saw a young woman, Maura. He asked if she needed help, or if he should call the police. Maura surprisingly refused the help, saying she had already called AAA. But, investigators of the impossible, we later found out there was no record of any call to AAA. Atwood, realizing she seemed shaken but refused help, continued on his way, but promised he would call the police as soon as he got home. And that's exactly what he did. Minutes later, another passing couple, the Maurats, also saw Maura's car in the ditch, and curiously, Maura was inside the car, seemingly looking for something. They also offered help, and she, once again, refused, motioning for them to drive on. They noticed the airbag was out,
but Maura appeared unharmed. At 7:46 p.m., less than 20 minutes after Butch Atwood spotted the car, Haverhill police officer Jeff Williams arrived at the accident scene. But to his surprise, the car was empty. No sign of Maura Murray. No sign of anyone else. Just the damaged car in the ditch, in the darkness and cold of the New Hampshire night. Police immediately began treating the case as a missing person. The door was locked, but the driver was gone. Inside the vehicle, they found some of Maura's belongings: her college textbooks, a pizza box, some clothes, and the Kahlua bottle. Curiously, the liquor bottle was missing. A red stain was found in the snow near the car, which was later identified as wine. The police's initial theory was that Maura, possibly intoxicated or scared of the consequences of another accident, had fled the scene to avoid trouble. The area was mountainous, heavily wooded, and temperatures dropped dramatically at night. If she had tried to flee, the cold could have killed her. In the following days, an intensive search was launched. Scent dogs, helicopters, and hundreds of volunteers scoured the area. Snow fell, making the search difficult. The Murray family joined the efforts, desperate for any clue. But Maura had vanished as if she had never existed. With the lack of evidence, Maura Murray's case became one of the most enduring mysteries in American true crime, fueling countless theories and speculations. The intentional flight. This is the simplest theory, and for some, the most likely. Maura was under stress, with financial, academic, and personal problems. The crash with her father's car days before, and the accident on Route 112 might have been the last straw. She may have fled to start a new life, perhaps to a remote area in Canada where she could live anonymously. But why never contact her family? Why vanish without a trace, knowing the pain she would cause? Third-party intervention. This theory suggests that Maura encountered someone after the accident. Remember, she was alone on the side of a dark road. Someone could have offered her a ride, and that person could have been a predator. Route 112 was known for not having much traffic, which made it dangerous for a person alone. Many believe she was abducted or murdered by someone who saw her at the accident scene. Some theorize about an itinerant predator passing through the region. Suicide or accident in the woods. The area around the accident site is densely wooded and treacherous. Some speculate that disoriented or in a state of despair, Maura may have wandered into the forest and succumbed to the cold or an accident. However, extensive searches with scent dogs and trained teams never found any trace of her body, which makes this theory less likely for many. The Bad Samaritan theory. Perhaps Maura accepted a ride from someone who seemed helpful, but had sinister intentions. Butch Atwood, the bus driver, noted that Maura seemed agitated and said she didn't want the police involved. This could be a sign that she was trying to hide something or that she was already with someone who was threatening her. Connection to previous incidents. There was a series of curious incidents in the days leading up to the disappearance. The accident with her father's car, the strange call she made to a friend at 1 a.m., the withdrawal of money, the lie about the family death. All of this suggests an unusual pattern of behavior. Some speculate that Maura was running from something or someone. There was a mysterious call to her cell phone at 11:49 p.m. on the night of the disappearance, which lasted only 1 minute. Who was that call from? Maura's absence raised a series of unanswered questions. Why did Maura lie about the death in the family? What was she trying to escape or avoid? Why did she empty her bank account? Was she planning a long trip or a permanent escape? Where was she going? She had researched the Green Mountains and the White Mountains, but never confirmed a destination. Why did she refuse help at the accident scene? Was she afraid of the police? Was she hiding something or someone? What happened to the missing liquor bottle? Did she take it with her, or did someone else take it? Why did the scent dogs lose her trail after a certain distance on the road? This suggests she may have entered another vehicle. Over the years, various clues and sightings emerged, but none led to a definitive answer. One man claimed to have given a ride to a woman resembling Maura out of the area, but his story was inconsistent. Another supposedly saw Maura near an inn a few miles from the accident scene. None of these leads held up. In 2005, a year after the disappearance, Maura's father, Fred Murray, conducted an independent search of the area and found a red penknife, which resembled one that belonged to Maura. The police, however, dismissed it as not being relevant. Maura's family, especially her father Fred, never gave up. They continued to work with private investigators, participate in podcasts, and keep the story alive in the media, pleading for answers. The internet became a cauldron of theories and discussions, with amateur detectives and true crime enthusiasts dedicating countless hours to try to unravel the mystery.
Maura Murray was never found. The car, the airbag, the accident scene on the dark New Hampshire road, everything points to a disappearance that seems to have been carefully orchestrated, or that, in some way, involved an encounter with a cruel fate. Maura Murray's case remains a chilling reminder of how quickly a life can vanish and how, sometimes, the truth can be buried under layers of mystery and silence. Authorities never declared the case a crime, but they also never closed it. It remains a giant question mark on the New Hampshire landscape and in the minds of all those who seek the truth. Investigators of the impossible, Maura Murray got into her father's car that night and drove into the unknown. What happened next is a dead case that to this day refuses to be buried. Where is Maura Murray? That's a question that may never have an answer. If you enjoyed today's video and want to hear about more unsolved true crime cases, click on this video and subscribe to the channel for more dead cases.